Hello and welcome to State of the Economy. Today we have with us Minister for Railways Suresh Prabhu, who is regarded among the more proactive ministers in the government, and a lot of expectations had been raised when he became railway minister in the NDA government, and he's really laid out a 5-year plan for the Indian Railways as a prime mover of the economy, given that public spending and public investment is a big focus for the Modi government. He will also talk to us today about the general state of the economy, the world economy and the Indian economy, and the railways, what the railway does is linked to the economy very intricately. And to discuss all that, we have with us Mr. Suresh Prabhu. Welcome to our show, Mr. Prabhu. Now tell us, you've been watching ever since you came to power the trajectory of the domestic economy and the global economy. Now we've had 2015, we've had really unexpected deflationary trend, fall in price of commodities, the freight, the trend in shipping, in transport, etc., is really sort of down, again somewhat deflationary. In the background of all this, how do you read the growth in the economy as well as growth in the railways and even other sectors?
You are absolutely right. This is a very, very challenging times for the global economy to begin with.
First of all, nobody expected this level of fall in commodity prices, oil prices.
We were thinking that probably 2015 will be a turnaround year for global economy. We thought that probably now the worst is over, we have bottomed out, and therefore 2015 will be a new beginning for the expansion for the global economy. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And you can see the result of that is it's one leads to another, but also because the economy is down, the global commodities prices have fallen. They have fallen, so therefore the global output also has shrank, because some other countries like Brazil, Russia, Australia are now in bad trouble because they were the major commodity exporting countries. China, of course, the demand is down, so therefore Chinese economy is also not buying as much, so this is also a problem.
So there is a destruction of wealth also.
Absolutely, big way. And this is resulted into, like for example, one of the top investment bankers was saying some years ago that oil will touch $200. And now they are saying, the same investment bank is saying now that it will touch $20.
So nobody knows what's going on.
Now just imagine, where is $200 that they were thinking about only 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, and now it's $20 they are projecting, which is already now, people are saying it will definitely touch 30. So if it is going to be 20, where is the estimation? So the top investment banker of the world is not able to foresee properly, and they lost the money also because they were not, they were actually investing into the commodities in a big way. So I think there is some serious problem with the global economy, which we must accept. Like look at US, which we thought is going to expand.
Which has not been diagnosed properly also.
Exactly. I don't know, we thought US is now going to expand, but not expanded actually, but there was of course luckily some activity there. That's why the Fed could increase.
Europe is down.
Europe is down.
Japan is in recession.
Japan is in recession for a long time now. China, actually used to be the driver of the growth for some time, is now in the recessionary mode. So is Southeast Asia, because they were dependent on China mainly. And Russia, Brazil, Mexico also, because they are also export, a big problem. So I think we are in a very challenging.
The big surprise was that emerging markets as a class also came down. People thought that emerging markets would be driver of growth.
Because whether we like it or not, it is all integrated.
Because Brazil is in recession, Russia recession.
So we are also exporters to these economies. So therefore, when their local demand is down, we also lose. So that's how our exports, our imports are also affected. Now the result of all this is that global economy is impacting each other economy in some short measure, and each economy is actually not growing, therefore is also impacting global economy the other way.
So we are also not insulated. India in that sense is not insulated.
Vicious cycle. And I think there is another thing very interestingly at a global level you must look at it, is that when the GDP used to rise globally, the global trade expanded at a faster rate than global GDP. Now we are seeing that the global
trade is expanding at at a lower rate than the GDP.
Absolutely. This is a new phenomenon that a global trade is growth rate is much smaller than the
Growth rate of GDP.
global GDP. So this is another challenge. As a result of this, where do you see the trend? If you look at the transportation sector, for example, if you see globally, the freights have completely come down. The freights for transporting shipping, particularly for the
Baltic freight index
is down, and we can see the result domestically also. In India, the steel is completely flat almost. Every time the railway, which is one of the commodities that we transport, if you transport 1 ton of steel, because this is manufactured, you need 7 tons of iron ore and other material to make that steel. Sure. So you transport that as well. So when you are the production of steel has gone down, the impact on railways 8 times.
Okay.
So therefore, the railways is losing considerably on account of loss of revenue, on which we have no control whatsoever. Because
also coal,
of course,
the railway carries coal. It's one of the big revenue streams for you.
Almost 50% of it. The demand for power, because of the DISCOM problem, which our now government is trying to handle, the power minister is working on it by creating a new scheme. But the structural issues, till we solve that, with the coal is down, cement is down, big other one, very big.
That's a big revenue source for you.
And all of that is a revenue.
Transporting cement, transporting oil.
And 2/3 of the revenue of the railways come from transporting these bulk commodities, which is down. So therefore, railway is facing.
Which are these bulk commodities? Mainly like
coal, mainly.
Coal,
steel, cement, iron ore, other minerals, fertilizers, food grains. Food grain again, because of the change in policy, that now there is no centralized procurement, because it's within the state, it has also gone down in a big way. So all of this contributed in one particular year when we were hoping that they will get substantially higher freight because of the growth generally that will happen in these sectors. Unfortunately, the sectors are facing some challenges, so is the railways.
You had projected some about close to 10% freight.
Yeah, but I think this year we are in a very challenging times.
I'm told it's flat or it's negative, is it?
Little, more or less flat. So that's a big problem. So this will be a loss of revenue. Top it all, sometimes you say that when the challenges come, they come not alone but in hordes. So today we also have another challenge of pay commission, which is putting almost 30,000 crores plus burden on the railways finances. And as you know, the railways as it is,
you have to provide for it next year?
Even part of this year maybe. So the challenge is, railways, as you know, if salary bill goes up, which will consume bulk of the...
So the operating ratio worsens there.
Operating ratio will affect definitely, but bulk of the revenue of the railway will go into that. Second is energy. So what I did was, this year we started working on energy in a big way. So that has, otherwise this could have been, even the situation would have been worse than this. So what we did was, we are actually cut down the energy cost significantly. Even on diesel, we have so many measures that we are working on, will reduce the diesel consumption, not the price. See, price is another factor, but consumption in a significant way. Secondly, we are trying to work on energy audits at all levels.
You will gain from the diesel price fall by 50%?
Marginally, because if you look at it marginally, but it did not offset. But what I saved is on electricity. See, what we did was, we are buying electricity at a highest price when we are the single largest buyer of electricity. So it doesn't make sense. The biggest buyer is paying the highest price, is not something which the markets will agree.
Defies economics.
Yeah, so we had reduced the price by buying electricity in the market, open market, by open bidding. Secondly, we worked on it, and we are now getting power from Ratnagiri Power, which is a stressed asset of Dabhol Power earlier. Thirdly, we are doing energy audits. We are doing solar energy. We are also removing the bulbs and bringing LEDs so that the consumption will go down, will pay us over a period of time. So number of measures on electricity and energy particularly has brought down some cost. We are bringing in efficiency parameter in a big way. We want to ensure that the productivity has to increase, because if there is so much of burden additionally, at least it should result into better productivity per person. So that is what we are again working on. So number of measures are being taken, but there are certain issues I have tried to make it in two ways. One, on which we have no control whatsoever. Like the freight movement, we have no control whatsoever. The pay commission, we have no control whatsoever. The control I exercise, which we thought which never there, the first time in railways history, we are reducing the cost.
And where are the which are the areas where you're trying to cut costs? You gave me one example, electricity. Which other areas like?
Small way, but water, for example. We have started doing water audit. We don't realize that we are also paying for water. Then we are trying to rationalize the expenditure in a way that we are trying to bring down each of the unit. How are they productive? So we are that's a process. See, we cannot overnight change it also because this process was not there at all. So we are trying to introduce a process whereby we'll have some cost center, profit center type of an issue, where we can ascertain that how much cost is going into it and how much is the revenues that we generate out of it. So I think this is the new exercise that we have just begun. It's going to take time to actually put the system into place. But this again is something which we need to do, and there is no alternative. I think an organization like Railways, which is already facing a lot of challenges because of past issues, will face even serious challenges because of this new development that is taking place. See, India is investing hugely in road. India is investing also into waterways now. So as a result of which,
that's also competition for railways.
So we have to find out a ways of surviving in this atmosphere in a big way. For that, I also thought of a strategy that long term, you cannot survive only on this traditional source of revenue, which is mainly two, freight and fare.
You have talked about other sources of
that is
revenue.
Increasing non-rail revenue.
Non-rail revenue.
Worldwide, the non-rail revenue is about some 30%, in some cases even higher. If you don't bring it in, it's not going to survive. So we have started this station development, which is non-rail revenue because it's like monetizing your asset, but also customer service. You just imagine a customer goes to the station and he feels he has not come to the station but he has come to an airport or better than that. He will be happy. But so we don't have the money to invest. So we are asking the private-public partnership to do that happen. Secondly, monetizing your advertising, for example, because if you are getting such a large audience of 3 crore people every day, why not you monetize their presence? Because you get their eyeballs, you get their footfalls. So why not monetize on that? So this is another area which we are trying to work on. The advertising potential also will be quite good. Thirdly, railways produce a lot of data and other things. Can we use it? So I was just talking to the Google CEO that day, and I was telling him, why not you work out on a strategy, because Google has specialized in this. If you look at it, Google's business model is very interesting. If you are hooking into Google, you don't pay anything. But you still make money. The Google is making a lot of money. How do they do that? So we need to think about it. So I think there are many ways of monetizing your available resources.
Tell me, there was a thinking earlier that railway could raise a lot of non-rail revenue, as you said, by developing real estate around either side of the tracks, especially in cities where you have prime properties. Is that feasible? Because I also hear that much of those lands are encroached upon. As usual in India, property titles, although railway is the rightful owner, but since they are encroached upon, difficulty in removing slums, are those real problems?
See, it's definitely the property which is already encroached.
Like recently in Delhi, you saw what happened. When you try to remove slums, there's a political economy of slums in India, right? So how do you deal with that?
I agree with you, and therefore we need to actually understand that public property does not, is not meant for my private use, but it's meant for larger public use. So we have to use it for that, and therefore we are trying to do that. But what we are doing in station development is completely different. We are not selling the land. We are only going vertical on the land itself. That is, down below will be the station. We'll go vertical so that
it's like increasing the FAR.
We use the air and land space rather than land rights, air and land, rather than selling the land. Selling land is
or leasing
desirable also, because railways might need that land subsequently. Why should you lose the land which is so precious? So I said that rather than selling land, it is one part. The second part of strategy should be, and which we are doing, is to digitize all the land records. So we should know at least what has happened. How do you get back, how do you keep the land which is not encroached intact? Otherwise, this will also be subject to some people coming and taking over.
Basically, do an inventory, digital inventory of all that you
record. That we are doing, and more or less it is at a very advanced stage. We want to finalize that. Thirdly, I think wherever there is a encroachment, we are talking to the state governments, and with the help of the state government, we want to make sure that such land is made available for a larger public use. See, this is a ratio of justice should fall in favor of those where the common man is going to benefit more than the small number of people who are actually occupying it.
Yeah.
And that too does not owned by them.
Yeah.
So I think if it is a public property belonging to the railways, railway is a public utility which offers services to people of a much larger number, and that too of that section of society which suffers from otherwise lack of services. Like for example, many areas where we have slums, we are seeing that they actually are on the track.
Okay.
So this is posing security threat for themselves. If what happens if some accident takes place or something, so this is a problem. Because of this, the trains get delayed also, because when most of the slums are nearer the station. So because
you may have to work with the urban development department to rehabilitate those people, and then
that's why we have to find a solution. I already told my officers that they must work with the state governments. We must have a strategy specific to a state, because we cannot have generalized strategy. So depending upon that.
But you were talking about having states as partners, right? In your investment plan also, right?
But that is something which has moved quite a bit. We'll have very soon the cabinet approval. Once we get that, then we'll have the 17 states who are willing to do with us. We'll slowly go with as and when each state comes forward, and that's the target states. So we'll have a joint venture. They put equity, we put equity. We leverage that equity and also put up projects which are largely beneficial to the JV in terms of good IRR. Also some projects which are not good IRR but good ERR, economic rate of return.
Yeah.
Because I think in a country like India, which is a developing country, ERR is also as important.
Also a social rate of return.
That's right, because if you don't take ERR, I mean some parts of India will never get developed.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, if you go only on ERR and not IRR, the railway will be bankrupt.
Yeah,
so we have to balance.
Trade-off between it. One more question, Mr. Prabhu, which a lot of people are debating today, is about this bullet train. Now, one view is that you're getting a lot of money. The Japanese are giving you, I believe, 80% of the cost of the bullet train, which is about 1 lakh crore, free of cost virtually. So why not take the money and build it? The other argument is you also have to increase capacity in many other sectors. The south, the central, the poorer sections where regions where the railway operates, and increase capacity. Also increase the speed of trains from 110 to 140. So what should take precedence? Should bullet train take precedence, or should these other tasks which you have laid out in your 5-year mission plan take precedence?
Tell me something. Suppose we don't do bullet train. Does it automatically bring money into the sector that you talked about?
That is true. The Japanese are not going to give that money to do other things.
So
right?
therefore, this is the obvious answer.
Yeah. So you're saying that whatever they're giving the money for, let's do it.
One. Secondly, we have a clear-cut laid out plan independent of bullet train. If you look at it in my budget,
like the Golden Quadrilateral, the fast,
that also
high-speed rail in Golden Quadrilateral.
That in any case was already planned. Just incidentally, this particular idea was mooted quite some time back. Bullet train. The previous government,
it was there in the UPA regime
previous
also.
government also actually
it had done a feasibility study, etc.
Many of these ministers, the previous government also, they wanted to do it. Some wanted to go, could not go because of political reasons, but they wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So therefore, sometimes it has a political overtones. As far as I am concerned, I am not taking political position. I am taking purely in the interest of the country.
You are taking a pragmatic position.
New technology, no money invested by the Indian side. It is virtually free because of the type of term that our Prime Minister.
So you are saying we are not spending our limited resources in bullet train.
It is not going at all.
At all.
Plus, there are spin-off benefits. When the bullet train technology comes to India, because there is a technology transfer, this would result into other sectors also benefiting immensely.
Sure.
The 85% of that will be manufactured in India. So Indian manufacturing will get benefit. We get part of a global supply chain because of this. We also get benefits in terms of getting the managerial ability of Japanese how to do it. See, because we develop one metro in Delhi with Japanese technology, are we not able to now develop metros in different parts of India?
Yeah.
Why did it happen? If there was no one metro.
You're talking about the natural absorption of that technology that happens.
And number two is that eventually, this is something which we would like to bring this technology to rest of India. Second, this is one part. Secondly, because of this, we are talked to Japanese. We are told them that they must, along with this, tie up with us for overall development of railways in India, which is beneficial to India or no? This would
So
not
you-
happen because of
So you're saying,
this
you're saying it's a package. That's
package.
an advantage.
So this is one. Second, second part of package is the overall development of railways. Third,
Including the dedicated freight corridor,
everything,
right?
everything. Third, it is also helping us in terms of making the safety of Indian railways taken to that level over a period of time.
Okay.
Fourthly, we are developing a partnership with Japanese for research and development, which has never happened.
Yeah.
Our RDSO, which is the Indian organization in Lucknow, which is going to immensely benefit from the ready-made availability of technology,
So
developed in India.
So, Mr. Prabhu, you're saying that the bigger advantage that Japan is becoming a comprehensive partner of India's in developing various aspects of rail development over the next 10 years. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And see, our first thing is, bottom line is very clear. That our government will not do anything which does not benefit a common man of India. That's the bottom line. Will not do anything which is not going to benefit serve India's national interest. So that is very clear. Now Japan, Korea, China, Australia to some extent for freight, Germany, France, they have technology.
Yeah.
Now, because we have not developed that technology for last 25, 30 years, which our predecessors had done it, we had no problem. Because we have not done that, now if I decide I start developing this technology, it is going to take 30, 40 years. Is it good for India or bad for India?
Yes,
or
good
I
for
should
India.
try to get something which is trying to now leapfrog India into a different category.
So, you're saying bullet train is only a small part of the larger package.
That's right.
Yeah. Tell me, the Japanese Prime Minister was here, and I believe a lot of agreements are signed, and railway was a very important component of that, right?
Yeah.
So, did you also meet Mr. Shinzo Abe when he was here?
No, I have met him many times. I met him this time as well.
Okay.
But of course, this visit was between the two prime ministers. So,
So tell us what's the thrust that this special relationship that is happening between India and Japan, what will it do to the railways in the next 2-3 years? What are the big things that are coming in terms of financing?
as I told you, all of this, again, I also told the Japanese that they must give us the
I
pension
tell you
fund.
why I'm asking you this, because there is a feeling that the Japanese bureaucracy historically is very slow in moving to implement things. They are very good at implementation, but they take a long time to hit the ground. So, is that your experience? I mean,
But firstly, now this is what people talk about our own bureaucracy as well. So,
yeah, sure.
I think
they are probably they mirror our bureaucracy.
So therefore, anyway, so we'll have to learn from each other, probably the good part, not the bad part. But the point is, the Japanese have a lot of convergence of interest with India's geopolitics.
Yeah.
We have a lot of interest in developing economies together. Japan economy, as we discussed earlier, is
This is what I was trying to get at. Geopolitics. Will this geopolitics make the Japanese work much faster now as opposed to in the past?
Absolutely. One. Secondly, economic necessities for both the countries.
For the country, yeah.
Japan has such technology which are probably, in some areas, particularly the railway sector, best in the world. That technology they cannot use in their limited pay. So India is could be a great beneficiary. Then again, we have no issues with Japan.
Yeah.
See, Japanese, this is not the first time Japanese are coming to India. Our entire automobile market was developed thanks to Japanese.
Yeah, sure.
Because when the Suzuki came in partnering with Maruti, and then so many other brands came, who has benefited?
They
India has
came
benefited.
to India even before we decontrolled industry. They came
We have become part of a global supply chain in auto components.
Sure.
How could we become? Now, so many jobs have been created, so many clusters have been created for auto components. That is because of one Japanese company coming to begin with.
So why can't they be replicated in railways?
It will be not only that, it will happen on a much larger scale in railways than what happened in automobile sector. Railway is a much bigger sector. So this is a great opportunity for employment. It's a great opportunity for small and medium enterprises because they will be the part of a supply chain. This will be a good opportunity for development of states because they will happen in different parts of the countries. This is also good for overall economy. This is good for exports of India because eventually we will be able to export that technology. Where did Chinese get a technology to begin with for bullet train? They got it from one of the countries which had it.
Sure, yeah.
So there are only two countries, main countries, which are the Japanese and French or the German to some extent. So either you wait for 40, 50 years and start inventing the wheels which are not been happening because of past inaction, or you try to start doing something which is going to benefit India immediately.
Sure, sure. So you're saying that there's going to be a comprehensive partnership between India and Japan, which will encompass railways also in a big way.
Yeah.
Now, coming to just one last question on the local, the domestic railway growth this year. You said because of recession around the world and lower than expected growth in India. So, the freight traffic and passenger traffic probably flattish this year. So, for the coming budget, so would that be the backdrop in which you will make the coming budget and project for the next 2-3 years?
It's a big challenging. See, this is like a culmination of so many years of problem that railways inherited.
Yeah.
At some point, see, the body gives up at a particular time. But this doesn't happen at that particular time alone. This is the accumulation of so many years of so many acts of omission and commission.
Yeah.
So, this is what has happened to the railways. See, this is coming to a point wherein that is a very turning point for railways.
Sure.
So, we have to be very, very.
Any chances of increasing tariffs, freight or passenger tariffs or freight?
Little early to say, but I am just saying it's a very challenging time.
It's a challenging environment.
Very challenging. Has been.
So, budget will be made in the backdrop of a challenging environment.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, for talking to us. That's all we have in this edition of State of the Economy. We'll be back with you next week. Thanks for watching.